Now that Season 5 of Delta Force has been out for a little bit over 2 weeks, I thought I would make a map tier list for Season 5, so we currently have 8 maps in the game: Ascension, Crack, Cyclone, Knife Edge, Shafted, Threshold, Trainwreck, and Trench Lines, with Trench Lines Night actually being removed. Now, I don't think they mentioned that it was removed, but they did remove Trench Lines Nights from the rotation. I don't know, maybe players didn't like it all that much, or they saw some glaring issues with it, but yeah, still 8 maps. Last season we also had 8, but 2 of them just swapped. Now, my tier list will more than likely not reflect your tier list, so feel free to leave it in the comment section down below. But yeah, let's get started in alphabetical order with Ascension. So it's no secret, I'm not a fan of Ascension. I think it's probably one of the worst maps in arguably like any first-person shooter I've played, at least on King of the Hill. On AD, it's a little bit less painful, but not by much. It is a lot cooler though, because you have like the naval assault on the beach at the beginning, so I can give it a little bit of lenience for that. But yeah, Ascension on King of the Hill is just pain. There's not enough cover. There's vehicles camping in the middle of nowhere. The snipers can camp up on top of the platform for God knows what reason, while the other team doesn't get access to that at all. It's just a weirdly made map, honestly. It doesn't flow very well. I think it would be much better if it was only on attack and defense. So for that reason, unfortunately, Ascension's gonna get an F again. This season, they've just done absolutely nothing to fix the glaring issues with the map that players have been, talking about over and over again since the game released. Cracked is one of my favorite maps in Delta Force. And for a few reasons. I really like the combat in the middle, and you have the D objective, which for the most part, a lot of the vehicles will try and focus on that side of the map. And then the infantry gets like Alpha 1, or is it 2? One of the alphas, the one that's on the right-hand side when you're facing towards the alpha objectives. Then you get B, then Charlie 2 and 1, so it's kind of like all infantry focused. You get some vehicles poking here and there. The one thing that I don't like about Cracked is the fact that one team has a hill that allows vehicles to sit up and just camp there the whole game. Either they're doing 2 things: they're just unkillable because every time they take damage they'll back up, repair their vehicle, and come back, or 2, they're not participating at all and not destroying anything because they're doing God knows what. So for that reason, unfortunately, it's gonna get a good grade overall, but I think I would probably put Cracked on B tier because of those aforementioned issues of just playable area. They really need to do something about vehicles camping out of bounds, honestly. I have no idea what they could actually do to fix that glaring issue, but it gets really annoying when you have vehicles just camping in the middle of nowhere. Let's say your helicopter pilot, not the best, can't get there and destroy those vehicles. You're just going to get pestered, and this is a problem on like a few of the maps in Delta Force. Cyclone is the newest map to be added in Season 5, and I actually really like Cyclone. There's a lot of nice little pockets of different types of combat that you can experience. Vehicles are a little bit difficult to move around on this map because there's a lot of underground tunnels and you got to come back on top. So as an infantry player, if you're mostly focusing on like B and C, and even D and E to some extent, you can probably avoid a lot of those vehicles. Helicopters aren't too much of an issue because the map is pretty open. There's not a lot of verticality to it, so choppers can't just like duck down behind a building or a hill of some kind to avoid fire. So I feel like they're much less of a nuisance on this map. And there's obviously naval combat on here as well with the assault boats. So overall, I think it's a pretty solid map. There's a few little pain points here and there, like trying to get up to certain objectives on D or E. It could be a little bit better, maybe an extra zip line or something to have an extra point of entry. But overall, I'd say Cyclone. It also looks absolutely beautiful, the island theme to it. I think I would probably put it on A tier. Again, I don't play AD at all. I've played it a handful of times since the game released. It's just not my favorite game mode. I'm much more interested in the Conquest game mode in Delta Force. But yeah, I think Cyclone sitting on A is a pretty solid one. Knife Edge. So I have shit on Knife Edge a lot in the past, and I apologize now because as I've been playing the map more and more, for some reason, some days I just get Knife Edge like back to back to back. There is so many plays that you can do if you know the map like the back of your hand. You can move around from point to point very quickly and catch people off guard if you know what you're doing. And it's an absolute blast to do this. because there's so many places that allow you to flank if you know where to go. So if you're moving from Delta and you want to potentially go down to Charlie because you have people assaulting Delta from Charlie, you can actually jump over those like fences that have the yellow, not netting on it, but like tarp on it from the platform or the broken piece of concrete, so you can actually get behind people that way. That's just one of the examples, but yeah, there's so many flanking options in Knife Edge. I think it's actually probably one of my favorite-ish maps now. It still has some pain points here and there. I would never play this on AD. It's an absolute nightmare. It's just choke point after choke point of dodging explosives, spamming all the abilities that kill people, and spamming smoke. It's not enjoyable. On Conquest, with all those flanks that you can get, it is a blast. Now, there are a few like little hitches here and there, especially on the outside section where all the like the scaffolding and the platforms are. There's just a ton of angles that you have to watch for, so it makes it a little bit difficult to actually get through there if you have an enemy team that knows what they're doing and where to look. But overall, I think Knife Edge, as I've played it more and more, I find it more enjoyable now with all the flanking opportunities that I found. So I would put Knife Edge on A, which is a far cry from what it was before. It was just, yeah, lack of knowledge on the map, and just I didn't get to play it enough because for the first few weeks that it came out, it wasn't that much in the rotation, and the few times that I did get to play it, I just wasn't a fan of it. But now I'm a big fan. Shafted is like, you know, it's an infantry map as Knife Edge is. It's fun. I like it. Again, on season 2, or is it 3 or 4, I can't remember, but they expanded the map. They gave more lanes, more ways to approach different objectives, but they added the construction system, which I think in a lot of places just doesn't make sense because it blocks off entire lanes from being accessible if you don't have explosives. So I think it unfortunately, they helped the map they helped make the map larger and have more lanes, but then they implemented that construction system in places where it just doesn't make sense, especially on King of the Hill. On AD, it makes a lot more sense because you're obviously trying to defend locations, but on King of the Hill, if you have those areas blocked off, it just becomes a standstill between Bravo and Charlie, and it's just not enjoyable when it's played like that. I find I like it much more when there's a lot of ebb and flow of people going, okay, well, somebody got through the flank and went in our back cap, so we're going to go back and get it. And then, oh, well, we're going to go in their back cap and get their flag there, so they're going to have to rotate and stuff like that. That is like peak King of the Hill gameplay, in my opinion. Where you're just trading flags like that, or you just have somebody sitting on a flag defending it because they're trying to get the flankers off of there. That would be my ideal enjoyable experience on Shafted, but a lot of the times it just devolves into like a wall of explosive between Bravo and Charlie, and for that reason I think I'm going to knock down Shafted to B tier for this season. It's still a very good map. I really like infantry combat, but yeah, if they took out the construction system in certain key areas of the map, I think it would probably be bumped up to A because, again, infantry, I like it. It's just fun. Threshold, I don't play enough. For some reason, I don't get it in the rotation much anymore. I used to get it quite a bit. Now, the big glaring issue with Threshold is Charlie. It's just a choke point. If you have Little Bird pilots and attack chopper pilots that aren't willing to go over that big wall and drop people off on the other side, and you have two teams that are pretty evenly matched, it's just so like mind-numbingly boring to just have people hold Charlie and fend off a defense from everyone. You literally can't break through because there's only a few ways to get through that Charlie objective on either side. And I think that's the big thing that's holding it back. If they added, I don't know, a tunnel underneath or a few extra doorways to get through, it would be a lot better. But I do like fighting on a lot of the objectives on Threshold, but it's just that it's such a big issue on Charlie that I can't really give it more than a C tier. I think there's just no lanes. It becomes just a boring gameplay loop of spawn, die, try to fight over Charlie. Yeah, it's just not enjoyable when that happens. Again, if you have Little Bird pilots that are willing to go over the lines, or that C line, and bring people on the other side of the map on the back flags, then it becomes a little bit more interesting, and that's when the map really like starts feeling a lot more connected and flows a lot better. Trainwreck, now it's an okay map. It's not great by any means, but I'm just getting so tired of playing Trainwreck. I get matched into this thing so often. It's probably my most played map since the last few seasons, and one thing that I've been noticing more and more is you don't get rewarded for killing vehicles in a lot of the maps that are vehicle heavy. There's just so many vehicles at any given time. The cooldown is incredibly short as well. You can call in vehicles with your points if you have enough. So it just becomes this fest of vehicles just feeding on infantry, or you kill one vehicle, oh, there's another vehicle attacking you right away and you get destroyed that way. So there's just too many vehicles on Trainwreck. And now I know vehicle players are going to be like, hey, you know, there's not enough vehicles, we need more, that's what the map is for. But if you end up playing as infantry, more often than not, it's going to be a slaughter of just vehicles attacking you nonstop. And even when you're playing engineer and trying to destroy those vehicles, you kill one, you have to reload your rockets slowly through the resupply stations, but then you're going to have another vehicle drive up right on there and start attacking you again. So it makes it very frustrating that way. So I think, again, I've been, you know, hammering this point down for a few seasons now. They need to reevaluate the vehicle versus infantry combat and maybe tone down how readily available vehicles are once they do get destroyed, because that timer, in my opinion, is way too short. And yeah, it just results in an onslaught of vehicles over and over again. So Trainwreck, I don't mind it. Again, I'm getting annoyed because I'm playing it so much, so that might be why it's kind of like I have a sour taste in my mouth every time I get put into that map. Sometimes you'll get the odd game that is really, really fun, but they're few and far between. Ooh, I think I would probably put Trainwreck on C tier as well. Would I rather play? Actually, no, D tier. I would rather play Threshold over Trainwreck just because I've been playing it so much. Moving on to Trench Lines, the last map, same problem as Trainwreck. It's the other map that I play nonstop that I always get thrown into for some reason, and it has the same problem, or even potentially worse than Trainwreck. There are so many vehicles on here, and there are so many areas that vehicles can just sit on, especially on the Foxtrot side of the map. A tank can just sit up on that hill and just have free reign because it's so flat in the trench areas. And yeah, it's stupid to have the map playable area set like that, albeit they did change it slightly where you can technically get up there with, you know, a vehicle or infantry to hopefully destroy that tank. But I think it's just arguably poor map design on their end. It is also better now that they added like the D flag between B and E that wasn't there before, and then they moved like Foxtrot anyways. They moved all the flag names around, and they added an extra flag between that point because there was just like nothing of interest there. It was just this big area that nobody would want to actually go in. So it is a little bit better than past seasons, but again, I just have the issue where there's so many vehicles and I play it so often. I'm just tired of it, and choppers are a massive nuisance here. You basically can't get good infantry gameplay in here except maybe on Bravo, but all of the other flags can get just absolutely hammered by helicopters. And if you don't have somebody actually like focusing on the helicopters, which arguably is a pretty boring job if you're using the AA, because the AA is only really viable against those vehicles. So once you destroy both helicopters with the A, you're like, okay, well, I guess I'll just wait for them to respawn. So it's not really a fun gameplay experience, in my opinion. You can't really defend yourself against many of the other vehicles, arguably. And yeah, like the ceiling is super high in this map, so choppers could just fly up and dodge any incoming ordinances. And there's also the hills far away. Yeah, it's a mixed bag, honestly, and I think I would also put Trench Lines on D. It's not my favorite map. I enjoyed it when it came out, but I think it's wearing on me just because of how much I'm playing it. If there was some system in place that allowed us to not get put into the same map over and over again, I think I'd have different opinions on some of them. But yeah, it's leaving a sour taste in my mouth. There's just too many vehicles on Trench Lines. And yeah, so there is my Season 5 map tier list for Delta Force. No maps made it in S tier. I used to have, I think, one last season, maybe it went in S tier. But yeah, really reevaluated a lot of that stuff. And I don't think there's a map that is, you know, good enough to go into the S tier category, because they all have those little issues here and there, even though some of them I enjoy playing quite a bit. there's still like little nitpicky things that are keeping them out of that top tier. So with all that being said, let me know your tier list in the comment section down below. Do you agree with me? Reorganize all that stuff. Also tell me what mode you play the most, because that'll definitely change what you think of all the different maps in Delta Force. But yeah, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and as always, thank you very much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.